Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode, a special episode of the Lucky Underdogs podcast, brought to you by Believe Network and Goodman Productions. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, this is the Lucky Underdog show where we highlight those guys that might not get the press coverage that they need, but they're putting the work in that they need to, and they're helping their teammates and they're helping their team achieve the goal, and they're doing it silently. And today we have a special guest joining us. We have NBC Sports Kathryn Tappen, who will be on the sidelines for college football's biggest game of the year this weekend. Number 6 Ohio State visits number 9 Notre Dame in South Bend this Saturday at 7:30 Eastern on Peacock and NBC. Make sure you tune in and watch those Irish do their thing. Kathryn, how are you this
Hey,
morning? Thank you
I'm
for
great,
coming.
Devin. It's great to be with you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
an
got me all
honor. It's
hyped
an
up with that
honor.
intro about the game now. I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait. I'm gonna just be bum, bum, ba-dum, dum, dum. I love it.
I was gonna say, do
It's
you
my
get
blood
jacked up
pumping.
for games now, still watching them? I mean,
Oh, yeah. It's anytime I hear that song that opens up the games, and there's a magic.
I
Oh,
love
it's
it.
like I get goosebumps, the
Yeah,
hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
so good.
It's yeah, yeah, it's the
You're gonna
good
get it
stuff.
this
That's the
weekend,
good
that's for
stuff.
sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, Catherine, I definitely want to say thank you for joining us. You've been with NBC Sports now for about 10 years, or how long have you
10, yeah,
been?
9, yeah, just about 9. I joined in 2014, so
Oh wow,
long
yeah, that's
time,
a
I
that's a good
know.
time. Yeah. So, in your time covering Notre Dame and just covering college sports in general, I know there's been so many things that's changed from the portal to the NIL to even the conference shifts. What do
Mhm.
you think, covering mostly in the Midwestern area? What do you think is sticks out in the football in the Big Ten or in that area? What do you think is some of
Yeah.
the
Well,
staples?
the landscape of college football has just changed. College sports has changed dramatically over the last, gosh, since I've been covering the game, certainly. But I mean, Devin, I remember when you were playing on the team, and it was a whole different story than it is now. And I did Notre Dame sidelines for 8 seasons, and then I hosted Notre Dame football pregame and halftime last season, and now transitioning to the Big Ten Saturday night, which we're fortunate to be broadcasting at Notre Dame again this weekend. So I'm looking forward to going back. But the difference now is, I'm looking at a roster that is totally different than last season's roster because of all the transfer portal and it's totally different than it was when you were playing. At least we knew there was some consistency each year, whether a player graduated or not. It was very rare that you would have a totally different roster each season. So, that has been one aspect that's changed. We're seeing just in the last few seasons at Notre Dame alone, it's been a different starting quarterback. It was like Ian Book, Jack Cohn, then we had Tyler Buckner and Drew Pine last year, and now we've got Sam
Mhm.
Hartman. So, and that's just in a span of 3 seasons. So it's been a lot. I mean, I think covering college football is probably one of the most difficult sports to cover, way more so than, at least in my role as a sideline reporter, way more so than the NFL. The NFL, we know all these guys, right? They're all superstars. Their names are recognizable. The roster is pretty much set. And if not, you know what it is based on, changes that came in the summer months. But college football is totally different. And it's a constant learning process every single week for us to get to know, okay, we've got Ohio State, Notre Dame. I mean, there are a lot of recognizable names on those rosters, but last week, Purdue, Syracuse, there weren't, so it's a lot of studying, it's a lot of research, but it's fun because college football and college sports to me is just awesome.
Awesome. No, indeed. And you shouted out Syracuse. I can't let that slide. I went there for my 5th year, so I got a lot of love for Dino
Oh,
Babers and
that's
the
right.
Orange.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are
Did
my
you watch
guys right there.
that was
They're
a close game last
undefeated. Yeah, and
weekend.
I'm tuned in because they're undefeated too. They're doing their thing. They're
Yeah,
handling
yeah.
business.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
indeed.
I love Coach
Mhm.
Babers. He's great.
Yeah, he's a great man, great man. So I know that you were talking about the realignments and everything that was shifting in the college aspect, and I know that you personally were a track athlete at Rutgers at the good old RU with the Scarlet Knights.
That's right.
Yeah, so Jersey I love New Jersey. I mean, it's a great state, the Garden State, and it's just beautiful. Like a lot of people think that Jersey is something that it's not, but Jersey is beautiful. The green out there in Jersey is none other. I mean, I got a lot of friends in Raritan,
Yep.
out there in Teaneck and
Mhm.
Passaic Valley. So I
Oh, yeah.
definitely know a lot about Jersey. And
Yeah,
so
we get
when
a bad
when
rap, but we're all okay with it because it just adds that kinda creates that Jersey edge that we all have, but no, most people
yeah.
land at Newark Airport and they drive down the turnpike or they drive into Manhattan and, they see the swamplands and they see turnpikes and highways, and I'm like, "That's not where I grew up," but, just go a little
Exactly.
west of Manhattan and yes, the Garden State is known as the Garden State for a reason.
Oh yes, yes, indeed. So when you were at Rutgers, were you at the New Brunswick
Mhm.
campus or the
Yes.
Piscataway, or were they the
Yeah.
same?
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically, Rutgers College is the main university, and that's in New Brunswick. But there's just the Raritan River that
Mm,
connects the two schools, and so we had classes in what's called Piscataway, which is where the stadium is, and
ah,
that's where the school of the psych school is there, and School of Medicine is over there. But all of my classes were mostly on College Avenue, which is the New Brunswick campus, but they're side by side. It's just a difference of a river dividing two towns, basically. But yeah,
nice.
I mean, I loved my time there. I studied journalism. I knew I wanted to be a sports broadcaster when I was real young, and I was an athlete my whole life. So I just kind of thought this is a good transition, a good thing to do. And went to Rutgers and loved every minute of it. I competed in cross country in the fall and then indoor track and outdoor track all 4 years. So quite a grind, but you
Mm,
know what? I met some of my best
definitely.
friends to this day. I learned discipline. I learned organization. I learned how to, be a good teammate. And I think those are things that translate to everything you do in life moving forward. So I can't say enough about my Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And at the time we were the Big East. So I've got all this vintage like Big East gear and now we're Big Ten. I'm like, I'm gonna need some new equipment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You gotta tell them just to send a couple care packages
Yeah,
out with
that's
some. Oh
exactly right.
yeah.
I know. I have to play
Hmm.
neutral. It was funny, we were at the Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis over the summer, and I sat down all the head coaches for the Big Ten for interviews, and Coach Schiano sits down and he handed me a little Rutgers pin that goes on your lapel. I said, "Coach, I'll wear this every other day, but this weekend, I can't I can't can't
Yeah.
show allegiance."
So,
But
oh
the
yeah, can't get in trouble that way.
yeah, exactly. But my colleague on the air, and Mike Tirico, a proud
Hmm.
Syracuse alum. I mean, it's no secret where we
Hmm.
all went to school, and we're proud for a reason. Those were some of the foundation and the stepping stones that were put in place for us to be successful in life. So, of course, we're proud of where we went, but certainly,
Hmm.
if we get a Rutgers game on Big Ten Saturday night, I might be in trouble.
Oh yeah. Hey, you gotta cheer extra hard. You gotta cheer extra hard,
Exactly.
lending them that energy. Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, for sure.
So so as we shift the focus to Notre Dame and Ohio State a little bit more, I know there's some key things that I see for the victory for the Irish. And I'll give you my keys to victory, and then I'll ask you what you think is important for the Irish to
Mhm,
pull this W out. I think that it's going to be a very big receiver versus DB battle. I
mhm,
think Notre Dame had last year, you had Ben Morrison, and that was his first ever college game. And just being able to see the growth that he's had in those last 12
mhm.
or 13 games since then. And then you've got other guys like Cam Hart coming back as a captain now. And I think that, and the safeties are awesome. The safeties are playing out of their minds with DJ Brown, Xavier Watts. They're all just like
Yep.
they're doing it. And so I think that they're going to have their hands full with the Ohio State's passing game. But I also think that this is going to be where they really take that step forward and they solidify themselves as one of the best defensive backfields in the country. And I'm expecting a big game from them this week. And I also think that Sam is going to have his hands full trying to get those receivers the ball. They got some sticky DBs at Ohio State. And, you got a little bit of inexperience at wide receiver, but I think this is the perfect game for them to really put themselves on the map. Definitely think the freshmen Rico Flores and Jaden Greathouse they're gonna come on the scene in a big way on Saturday. I'm predicting that one.
All right, I like your
Now,
prediction. Spoken like a true former
hmm
quarterback, going with the defense.
yep,
I like it.
oh yeah, oh
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would agree with you. I also think, I think this quarterback matchup is just fascinating. I think Sam
Mhm.
Hartman is a stud. I mean, we all know he's got, NFL expectations, and rightfully so. I've really liked what I've seen from him the first couple games. The big thing for me, and you mentioned the inexperienced receiving core, so perhaps we expect a big game then with the running game, right? Like Audric Estime has been
Mhm.
unbelievable since he got to Notre Dame. He's just a complete beast. They're going to have to run the ball for sure, which is going to be hard against, Ohio State's offensive line is tough. But I think that, to your point, this quarterback is special. This Sam Hartman is somebody that we haven't seen at Notre Dame in quite some time. And I don't know that we can say the same about the quarterback on the other side. I think Kyle McCord is still trying to prove himself and certainly filling in for humongous shoes with CJ Stroud leaving. So it's his first year. This is going to be his biggest game so far. It'll be intimidating. It will be, a place he hasn't played with an atmosphere that's going to be electric on Saturday night. So it'll come down to, the calm, cool, collected Sam Hartman against maybe perhaps some question marks on the other side with that quarterback. But I would agree with you with regards to running the ball, and there's no better player right now in the country, really, in my opinion, than Audric Estime to do that.
Yeah, he's definitely leading the pack, and he's setting the tone, honestly. I mean, he's
Yep.
had over 100 yards every game. He's definitely been the staple workhorse that Notre Dame has needed this season.
Yep.
I think he's gonna sneak into the Heisman race, like, by the end of the year. If he's got over 1,000 yards by week 8, which he's already halfway there, like, it's gonna be hard to keep him out of New York at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And listen, there's a long way to go. And I love how the Heisman chatter starts in week one, after
Oh,
certain
yeah.
games. But if he can stay healthy, and that's the biggest thing. Obviously, we
Mhm.
know that running back position can be, challenging to stay healthy throughout the year. And if he can, then I think, and he keeps putting up performances like this. I mean, their schedule's not getting any easier. We'll put it that way. Starting with Ohio State, they've got USC on the schedule.
Yeah,
Uh,
even Duke right
yeah,
after Ohio
exactly.
State. You can't sleep on that one.
So exactly.
Mhm.
So I think that, if he can stay healthy and he can keep putting up these numbers against these top opponents, that's when you start to chatter about the Heisman, right? Like, with all due respect to
Definitely.
the first three games that Notre Dame has played, I mean, it wasn't exactly Ohio State, Duke, USC. So let's see what he can do against these teams, and reassess that conversation in a couple weeks.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. We can definitely I'll slow it down a little bit. I'll slow it down just a little bit though.
Spoken like a true
Not too
Irish. Yeah,
much.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Notre Dame. I mean, we're the fan base, whenever we get that glimmer of hope, it's hard not to take it to the top of the
Yeah,
mountain. You
I
got
know,
to take it
I
all
know,
the
I
way
hear
as
ya,
soon
I
as you
hear
get
ya.
there.
There's something about
Hmm.
that, the grotto and the Golden Dome and Touchdown Jesus.
Hmm.
It's got you guys
It
all
just
screaming the
fills you up
same,
with
right?
this. Oh yeah, yep. Oh yes, indeed. So I know we talked about Sam a lot, and I know for me personally, when before the season started, I was on the fence about Sam a little bit. You
Mhm.
know, I am not the biggest proponent of needing 5+ years of college football, but now I can definitely see the bonuses of playing so much football because he's out there and it's easy for him. You can just tell that the game is moving in slow motion for him, and
Yeah.
he's bringing everybody else along with him, which I think is the biggest thing. I mean, just seeing the way that he interacts with Steve Angeli and the time that Steve gets some of those times in the second half of some of these games, just seeing his leadership skills, I think that's just a testament to Sam as a man and as a football player. And I definitely think he was a great get for Notre Dame. I had Joe Theismann on here a few weeks ago, and
Oh,
he
great.
told us that,
Love
yeah, great
Joe.
guy. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's the
great
best.
energy and a legend. I mean,
Yeah,
big L
for sure,
legend.
for sure.
Yeah. He told us that him and Sam they text all the time before games and they have
Oh,
a good
wow.
relationship. So, do you hear about relationships and things like that?
Mhm.
And what do you think the
Sure.
impact of that is?
I think it's huge. I mean, especially when you have a player like Sam Hartman who's coming in to play his final season at Notre Dame, which has, as you mentioned, legends that have come before him. For him to just be even able to tap into the resources of understanding what does it mean to play quarterback at Notre Dame. I mean, this is a very unique role. It's a very unique position in all of college sports. Because we know the iconic brand that is Notre Dame. I mean, you guys can go to Ireland and bring 30,000 fans across the pond to watch you play. That's just the way it
Yep.
is. So with that comes a lot of pressure and a lot of eyeballs on you and constant scrutiny. And I mean, there was no better player than Sam to come in my opinion, to play quarterback because he is so polished. I actually had a misperception of him, I think, because he comes in, he's got the hair, he's like got the
Yeah.
NIL deals and, shows up at
Mhm.
practice and he's giving the guys Bose headphones. And I talked to Joe all yesterday and I said, did you guys, when he first got on campus, was there a sense of like, this kid is, too good for us, or he's like acting like, he's big time, he's kind of
Mhm.
showboating? And he said, absolutely not. It was the total opposite. What you
Wow.
see on social media with him and what, Notre Dame is pumping out with images of him and stuff, that's not really the way he is in person. He's extremely humble, ingratiated himself to the team right away. So, but to your point about the relationships, I think, we hear that a lot in college with regards to athletes and maybe their high school coaches, with a parent who perhaps played in the league or was an athlete themselves in another sport. I think it's very, very important when you're in these developmental stages in life to have mentors, to have those relationships. And I think it's great that, I don't know who reached out to who, whether it was Joe reaching out to Sam or Sam reaching out to, it was probably Joe reaching out to Sam to introduce.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We see like Jerome Bettis on the sideline. We see Jim Brown on the sidelines. Like, that's amazing for these athletes to have those resources readily accessible and ready to help support in any way needed is just awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. I mean, two of the mentors that I met at my time at Notre Dame that were super important to me were Malcolm Johnson. He played in
Mhm.
'99, and he actually played at my high school as well. We wore the same number in high school, about 20 years
Oh,
apart.
wow.
But yeah, it was that's my guy. Shout out to MJ. And Alan Rossum was another guy that I met that was a super special encounter to me, just because that was someone who I grew up playing with
Yep.
on Madden, and just seeing his success on the field and meeting him off the field and seeing the type of man that he was. That was just special to me. And I think that's what comes with Notre Dame, is you get those connections and you get the opportunity to see the quality of the people that have stepped in your shoes and have been where you've been before.
Yeah, and even last week, I would take it a step further. We were at Purdue. We were covering the Purdue game, and Drew Brees is a huge part of that Purdue program. He's got his
Mm.
name on a couple buildings. He comes back for many of the games, and I mean, this is a future Hall of Famer that is readily accessible to those student athletes. And in particular, their transfer quarterback, Hudson Card. I spoke with him, and from the town where Drew was from in Austin, Texas. So they did
Oh,
have that
wow.
thread, but Drew reached out to him. Drew was part of the recruiting process to get this kid to transfer from UT to come up and play his final year at Purdue. So I think that's incredibly valuable when these, a guy like Drew Brees comes in. And I remember when Drew was on the broadcast with us, and we would go to Notre Dame and we would sit in player meetings, and guys would kind of do a double take, like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here talking to Drew Brees. And then
Drew Brees.
and some of them, when they would leave the room, would say, hey, would it be okay if I got your information and reached out to you? And he never turned it down. Always, always, always was available to these student athletes. So I think that's great. I think it's awesome when we see that.
Yep, just class acts all
Yeah.
around, and I love the fraternity that football has built, and I love how it's continuing to grow and it's continuing to give back to
Mhm.
the younger generation. And Catherine, I thank you for your time this
Oh,
morning. I
you're
know that
welcome.
we've had a great conversation. I really do appreciate it, and I
Of
definitely thank
course.
you for coming on to the
Yes.
Lucky Underdogs.
That's
Yes,
awesome. Keep up
indeed.
the great work, Devin. Great to see you again and enjoy the game on Saturday night.
Yes, you too, and make sure, cheer a little extra hard for the Irish. It's okay. It's okay to be a little partial for the Irish. We're
I
okay
love
with
it.
that around
I've
here.
spent I spent a
Yes,
lot of
indeed.
time there. Yes, I'm rooting for a really
Yes,
good game.
indeed. All right, sounds good. Well, once again, thank you all for tuning in to the Lucky Underdogs podcast, brought to you by Believe Network and Good Men Productions. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Watch those Irish whoop up on those Buckeyes on Saturday.